Harley Benton have finally done it. They've taken their awesome TE-62 CC Telecaster type guitar and they've stuck a no-name Bigsby vibrato tailpiece on it. This is the TE-62 CC Tremolo model, and in this video I'm going to take you through all the details that you'll need to know about this. We'll put this Bigsby-type bridge to the test and find out whether or not this guitar is really worth the €169 asking price. Timestamps to everything is going to be down in the description in the comments if you'd like to move to a part of the video that suits you best. But let's kick things off with the specs, the info, and everything you need to know about this guitar. But I should start by saying this is a totally unsponsored video. I went out and bought this guitar myself. As soon as I saw it, I knew I had to have it. I also did the same thing a few years ago with the standard TE-62 CC, and there's plenty of videos of that guitar elsewhere on my channel. Now, the original TE-62 without the Bigsby-type bridge was a fantastic, and still is a fantastic guitar. For €150, it's just a great Telecaster, and if you wanted to pay €10 more for one with binding on the body, well, that is a great guitar as well. But for €169, you can now get it with this Bigsby-esque tailpiece. And this is something that looks fantastic, and I wouldn't be surprised if many of you are going to be buying it purely for the looks, because it is a wonderful, retro, cool looking thing. However, how functional can a bridge like this be at this price point? And we're going to find that out in the video. But the rest of the specs that you need to know. We've got a lovely Lake Placid Blue finish here, and the finish on this guitar, by the way, is way better than the Lake Placid Blue finish from my few years old TE-62 LPB model. I'll put the two on screen together so you can see. This one really pops and sparkles. It looks absolutely fantastic. It's a beautiful looking guitar. So here's the original TE-62 CC in Lake Placid Blue, and here's the new Tremolo model, and hopefully you can see it on the video here, but the finish on this one is just deeper, richer, sparklier, and all round way better than the one from the guitar from 3 or 4 years ago. So that's a great sign. Harley Benton are getting better at what they do. This one already looked great, but this one really levels things up. It's a beautiful looking guitar in every way. Anyway, underneath that finish is a basswood or basswood body, and the neck here is caramelized maple, or something similar to roasted maple as well, with a beautiful skunk stripe there on the back. Now at the body we've got this mint green scratch plate. We've got a pair of Roswell Alnico 5 Telecaster type pickups with a 3-way selector switch and a volume and a tone control, and we've got a classic Telecaster style ashtray bridge with 3 compensated brass saddles. So far, so normal. Then comes the piece de la resistance of this guitar, the reason that you're probably going to be buying it. It's the NotABigsby vibrato tailpiece here, and it looks the part. It looks absolutely amazing. Now, me personally, I'm good friends with an amazing musician and YouTuber called J Leonard J. Jay has an incredible Fender custom shop Tele in this sort of a layout with a real Bigsby, of course, and that is a wonderful guitar. I'll stick a picture of that up as well, but you probably know Jay anyway. So I'm somewhere close to at least getting a hint of his DNA with this guitar. It's a wonderful looking thing. I'll link to some of Jay's videos so you can check those out if you haven't already. But yeah, that's what we're going for with the aesthetics of this guitar. Anyway, when you've got a Telecaster and a bridge like this and a tailpiece like this, normally what you would expect to see is going to be a cutaway Telecaster bridge here, or maybe some kind of a Mustang roller bridge or something like that. With a Bigsby, it tends to be that the fewer friction points you have for the strings, the better. That's going to lead to more tuning stability, and it's going to lead to less string breakage as well. And I'm going to talk in a bit more detail about how this Bigsby style tailpiece performed in the opinions part of the video once I'm done with the playing. But on first look, I'm already a little skeptical about how this is going to work, because the strings here are actually going from the saddles through the back side of the bridge here. It's not a cutaway bridge, and that's giving us 6 friction points here. I can see with my own eyes that most of the strings are actually already touching the bridge as they go through it, and that is definitely, when I use this tailpiece, going to lead to these strings touching the bridge even more. That's an extra friction point. It's going to lead to the strings rubbing against the bridge. That could lead to more string breakage. It could lead to the strings rubbing and not returning to tune as they should, and it could lead to extraneous unwanted sounds, clicks and pops and nicks when using the Bigsby as well. So we'll listen out to that in the playing part, and I'll tell you my thoughts about it afterwards. Timestamps again if you want to go to those bits in advance. But anyway, this is the pièce de la résistance, the Bigsby style tailpiece. It's a wonderful looking thing, and I can't wait to give it a wobble. Anyway, let's move around to the back one more time, and you can see again this lovely sparkly Lake Placid Blue finish, and we've got a Harley Benton branded neck plate here as well. Very nice indeed. So let's move up to the neck, and we've got that caramelized maple neck here with the skunk stripe on the back and the caramelized maple fingerboard as well. Now on Harley Benton's website, they say that this is a modern D-shaped neck, and it is a really nice, comfortable neck. It's basically identical feeling to the original TE-62 LPB, as are all of the specs on this guitar, apart from the tailpiece, of course. Now, in terms of the frets, we've got 21 of them. I don't know what size they are because Harley Benton and Thomann don't tell us, but to me they feel like they're a standard medium jumbo. Now, the scale length is going to be a Fender approved 648mm, that's 25.5 inches. The fingerboard radius is 305mm. That's a quite nice and flat and modern feeling. 12 inches, and the nut is going to be 42mm. Up at the headstock there, we have that Telecaster-esque headstock and no-name 6-in-line tuners on the back there. So this is the Harley Benton TE-62 CC Tremolo model, and what we're going to do next is put this thing to the test and play it. Now, I'm going to play it like I would play a standard Telecaster. I'm a huge Telecaster fan, and they are one of the most simple yet versatile guitars out there. With these two pickups, we should be able to cover everything from classic 50s and 60s clean tones all the way through to modern down-tuned metal, so we'll try all of that. And of course, I'll be putting the TS01 Bigsby-style vibrato tailpiece to action as much as I can. And I'll do a little separate section, I think, during the playing where I actually go through 3 or 4 riffs where I really give it a bit of a hammering and we see how it handles things. Now, my rig for today is going to be my Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200 amplifier. Will be running from the Redbox AE out straight into my Zoom H6 recorder, and no post-production will be done on any of the tones whatsoever. I'll also use some of my favorite overdrive and distortion pedals to spice up the tones a bit. And like I said, we'll start clean, gradually up the gain until we're down in drop D, trying to do a bit of metal chugging with this thing, because why not? Enough talk then, let's play the TE-62 CC Tremolo model now, and we'll speak in a bit more detail about it afterwards. Okay then, so that was the Harley Benton TE-62 CC Tremolo model, and I hope you enjoyed the playing, the riffs, the tones, and the Bigsby wobbling that we got to do as well in this video. And you know what to do, please leave me a comment down there telling me what you think of this guitar. Could you imagine yourself buying and owning one of these? Do you think that for 169 euros, this Bigsby-type vibrato tailpiece is going to do the job for you, or would you rather stick to a standard ashtray type bridge as you'd get on the standard TE-62 CC model? Let me know your thoughts as ever, and I look forward to getting a bit of a discussion going. But now it's time for me to tell you my thoughts and opinions about this guitar, and well, for me this was a very easy purchase. And again, I'd like to reiterate that I did buy this guitar with my own money. This is a completely unsponsored video, just so you know that. So I bought this with my own money. I love Tele-type guitars, I love my original TE-62 CC without the Bigsby-type bridge on it, and I love a Bigsby as well. So this one was an absolute no-brainer, and I bought it and it arrived very quickly and easily, as things normally do from Thomann, and straight away, as soon as I got it out of the box, well, what a fabulous looking instrument this is. Like I've already said, the Lake Placid Blue finish on this guitar is absolutely stunning. It's deep and it's rich and it's sparkly and it just looks fantastic. I also love the vintage vibes that you get from the caramelized maple neck and fingerboard too. It's an all-round great aesthetic, which is topped off by the cherry on the cake, this wonderful looking Bigsby-style tailpiece. I love the way this guitar looks, and I was very excited to get it out of the box. And I know that the looks are totally subjective, but I think that a lot of you watching this video will be looking at this guitar and thinking, yes, this looks great. You can also get this guitar in a black version, and you can also get the TE-52, which is going to be the ash-bodied, more classic, natural-looking Tele as well. But for me personally, Lake Placid Blue is where it's at, for most guitars generally, but for this guitar as well. So this guitar passes the looks test for me with flying colours, and as I picked it up for the first time, I was also happy to note that it passes my weight test too. Now for me personally, I like a guitar to be 8 pounds or under. Anything over 8 pounds and I'm starting to feel like it's just a bit heavy in terms of long-term playing comfort for me. And this specific model weighs in at 3.67 kilograms. That is 8 pounds and just a tiny bit, 8 pounds 1 perhaps, but for me I'm going to count that as a win for this specific guitar because it's a cheap guitar as well, and it's also got this Bigsby style tailpiece on it, which considerably adds to the overall weight of the instrument. Without that, it would be comfortably in the 7 pounds something category. So in terms of weight, we're onto a winner here as well. The next thing that I looked at was the build quality of this guitar, and with every budget instrument and with every Harley Benton, what you're kind of looking for is what's not quite right with it, because you can't expect perfection at this sort of a price point. But what I'm going to do here is split the build quality part up into two distinct sections, and I think you probably already know where I'm going with this. We'll talk about the guitar as a whole without the TS01 Bigsby-style tailpiece, and we'll talk about the TS01 afterwards. So overall, as a standard Telecaster type guitar, well, the TE-62 CC Tremolo model is excellent, just like the original TE-62 CC that I bought 3 or 4 years ago. Starting with the neck, we've got this lovely slinky satin feeling caramelized maple affair. That applies to the fingerboard as well. 21, I think, medium jumbo frets, which seem to have been done really well, nice and well crowned, nice and flat, no rough edges or anything like that. The nut seems to have been cut fine too. No problems with that part of the guitar whatsoever. Like I've already said multiple times, the Lake Placid Blue finish on the guitar here itself is excellent. The electronics and the hardware seem to do their job. The Harley Benton no-name tuners are decent enough as well. But then we get to this TS01 vibrato style tailpiece. And this is a much more difficult thing to talk about really, because firstly, I'm not a professional tech, so I haven't done a professional setup on this, but I have done what I can myself. So I put some graphite in the nut, I've applied a bit of lubricant to the parts of the TS01 that I could. I also took the spring out, gave it a good stamping on to really loosen it up a bit and also make sure that it was perfectly aligned before using it. That's kind of a very basic setup that I think anyone here could do themselves in a few minutes without risking damaging the guitar as well. And that's a reasonable thing that I think you would do to this guitar before giving it a play, as I have in this video. So short of going to a full tech for a full and thorough setup, that's what I've done. But in terms of the build quality, you'll have heard it during the playing. There are some issues with the TS01 Bigsby style tailpiece, and I think most of that probably stems from the fact that we've got these extra friction points coming from the strings passing through those small holes in the bridge and having constant contact with them. That means that when I'm using this tailpiece, when I'm giving it a nice bit of a wobble, well, the tuning stability is not perfect. It's never going to be perfect on any Bigsby, by the way, but it's less perfect than it could be here. I found myself having to retune quite often after giving this a bit of a wiggle. And then we've also got some extra unwanted noises coming quite often when I'm using the TS01 as well. You can hear the spring quite a bit. That's something that I think could probably be fixed by a tech, but you've also got some little clicks and pops and some little what I think are probably friction noises coming from the strings rubbing against the bridge and that kind of thing. And this is something that maybe a professional tech, if you're a professional tech watching this, please comment and let me know. Maybe a pro tech could fix that, but I feel like what you're probably going to need to do to get this Bigsby way up to speed is to get yourself a cutaway style Tele bridge, so you don't have that extra friction point of the strings going through the holes in the bridge itself. I stand again to be corrected by any professional techs watching this, but this is something that lets down the build quality of the guitar in a quite significant sense, and it's really something where I'd give you a warning before buying this guitar. So that much for the build quality. Then we come to the playability, and again we can split this into two parts in much the same way. Overall, if you're not using the Bigsby at all, this is a fantastic playing guitar. It's a lovely slinky, modernish feeling D-shaped neck, really easy to get up and down, and well, it's a Tele, so it's a nice slab of wood. For me, the upper fret access is way good enough, no problems at all. It's a very ergonomic instrument. And again, if you're just buying this to not use the tailpiece, for it to be an aesthetic, to look cool, well, you're not going to have any problems. However, even if you're not using it in this way, if you bend strings and the more you play it, well, the tuning is going to slip a bit more than it would with a standard hardtail bridge or a standard Telecaster ashtray style bridge like you get on the standard TE-62 CC. Now, in terms of the playability, when you're using the Bigsby, well, you do have to tune up way more than you would if you were not using it, and you have to put up with the fact that you're going to get those extra noises, and that does put you off a bit. Now, are those issues going to be enough to put you off buying this guitar? I don't know. That's going to be a personal choice for everyone who's watching this video and who buys the guitar. Let me know your thoughts on that down there, by the way, because I'm really interested to hear what you folks think. But for me personally, I love how this guitar plays and I love everything about it, but I really need to get this Bigsby thing either fixed, or I might have to send the guitar back and just concede defeat with it, because at some point the amount of money, time and expenses that I'd have to put into getting it fixed, possibly a new bridge, tech time and so on, that might mean that we're over $200, we're up to $300, and I could get something else instead, and I'll talk about other options in a couple of minutes. So that much for the playability, and now we come to the other crucial aspect, which is the sounds. How well does this guitar deliver tonally? Now, for me personally, I'm a huge fan of the humble Telecaster, and I think that the Roswell Alnico 5 Telecaster style pickups in this guitar do a great job. They're thick and meaty sounding, but they've got that great top end and clarity that you would expect from any good Telecaster as well. This guitar will cut through any mix, and if you like Indian alternative rock as much as I do, well, it's going to be ideal for you in those tonal departments. We started on the clean channel of the amp, and we got some great classic Telecaster tones, great amounts of twang for country stuff. Doing the middle pickup setting, you get some great arpeggios and strum chords and so on and so on. Adding some extra reverb and delay with my Source Audio Collider gave us some brilliant ambient and atmospheric tones, and some gentle wobbles of the Bigsby gave us some extra shimmer as well. However, the more intensely I wobbled it, well, the more issues that we got in terms of the tuning stability and in terms of the spring and the friction noises that we were getting as well. So that's always going to be something to watch out for. Teles love a bit of gain as well though, and when I kicked in my Greer Lightspeed for the indie and alternative rock stuff, we got amazing tones, thickness and clarity from the bridge pickup. The neck pickup is a really nice restrained sort of tone, and the two pickups together, well, they just work for anything indie rock. And then we went to the amp's crunch and lead channels to do some classic rock and some harder rock stuff as well, and this guitar absolutely nails all of those tones. Anything from AC/DC through to harder 80s heavy metal, no problems whatsoever. Again, the bridge pickup here is a fantastic meaty sounding thing. It's not too noisy either, so more gain is going to work with this guitar, no problem. And for fast palm muted power chords for pop punk and stuff like that, well, you can do that with gusto with this guitar. Finally, we went down to drop D and I kicked in my Rev G3 distortion pedal, and proof that you can do metal with a Telecaster type guitar. The TE-62 CC Tremolo sounds really, really decent for metal. Okay, you're probably not going to buy this guitar to play metal sort of stuff, but it can handle it no problem. And if you want loads of clarity and loads of harsh aggressiveness, which sometimes works for metal, well, this guitar is going to do just that, although of course you're going to have to live with the single coil noise. So overall then, in terms of basic tones, this is a wonderful sounding guitar, but of course a lot of those tones, when you use the Bigsby, are going to have those extra artifacts that you probably don't want, and so that takes it down a few notches in the points score. So you've been watching this video though, you really like the idea of this guitar, but you're wondering what else could be out there. Well, if you desperately don't need to have a Bigsby type tailpiece, you could go for the standard TE-62 CC. That is a fantastic Telecaster type guitar. Plenty of videos of that elsewhere on my channel if you'd like to check those out. And that's 150 euros, 149 euros to be precise. So that is an absolute bargain of a guitar. And if you'd like to have that with binding on the front and back of the body, well, Harley Benton do a version of that as well. Otherwise, basically the same guitar. And that sits between these two guitars in terms of price at 159 euros. So very, very cheap. And I go back to that, of course, and say you can't expect perfection at this sort of a price point. And if you want to go for another very cheap take on the Telecaster, well, I heartily recommend the Squier Sonic Telecaster. I've got a video of mine there, which again I bought with my own money. That is a wonderful guitar and just a tiny bit more expensive than this one, but very much in the realm of the affordable as well. Now, if you'd really like to have an affordable Telecaster style guitar with a Bigsby on it, well, you can spend about $500 to get one of the current Squier Classic Vibe Telecasters with Bigsbys. I've tried a couple of those, only in shops, but I've tried a couple of them and they've both been excellent and they haven't had any issues with the Bigsbys. Those guitars have a floating bridge with Mustang saddles, and that's a much more natural fit for a Bigsby, and I can confirm that from my limited playing experience, the Squier Classic Vibe Tellies with Bigsbys were both great playing things, and the Bigsby operation was a step up from what we have here with the Harley Benton. Otherwise, there are a number of Gretsch Electromatic models that have Bigsbys that are great options as well. A Gretsch is going to be a totally different vibe, but I've only ever had good experiences with those as well. However, I come back to the fact that at this sort of a price point, you really need to budget in a setup from a Pro Tech. And for me personally, to get the full level of enjoyment out of this guitar and for it to reach its full potential, I would really need to take it to a Pro Tech who knows what they're doing, who can set it up so it actually works for me. At the end of the day though, the TE-62 CC Tremolo is an awesome guitar in theory, but there's one rather large elephant in the room, and that comes in the form of the TS01 Bigsby-style tailpiece. Now, apart from that, this guitar in the basic form is a great thing, and you'd expect that from Harley Benton. It looks fantastic. I love the Lake Placid Blue finish. The neck plays really nicely, and the tones that we're getting from these Roswell Alnico 5 pickups are really rather decent. So far, so good. But coming back to that elephant in the room, now this Bigsby-style tailpiece is something where it might be a make or break for you with this guitar. And for me personally, I'm at the stage where it's kind of a break, and I would really tell you to exercise caution before buying one of these. Now, of course, that comes with caveats. This could be one of a kind where I've not got a decent one. There could be better versions of it out there. Guitars at this price point are notoriously not the same. If you pick 10 out of boxes, they're all going to be a little bit different. However, the inherent design of this bridge and Bigsby type tailpiece operation would suggest that most of you getting it are going to run into the same issues that I've run into with this specific guitar. Once again, any Pro Techs watching this, let us know your thoughts down there in the comments. And if anybody else has bought this guitar, I would love to hear from you as to whether you've run into the same issues that I have with the TS01. So without that tailpiece, this is a wonderful guitar. With it, it's much more limited in terms of operation. And if I am going to keep this guitar, and I'm not quite sure about it at the moment, I'm on the fence, I'm definitely going to have to take it to my tech and invest a significant portion of my own funds to get it up to speed and the way I want it. And I don't know yet if it's going to be worth it. Now, I do have to say in favour of this guitar that I haven't had any unwanted string breakages at all yet. I haven't broken a single string, so that hasn't been a problem that's manifested itself yet. And, well, this is a Bigsby, so you can never expect it to hold tune quite as well as a standard hardtail bridge or a standard ashtray type bridge on a Telecaster would. So that's something to have in your thoughts as well. And again, if you're buying this just to play it without ever using the Bigsby, but just having it to look cool, well, go ahead and do that and it might just work for you, even though it's not going to hold tune quite as well as a standard Telecaster would. So those are my thoughts, and those were the tones from the TE-62 CC Tremolo model. Let me know your thoughts and opinions, please. Should I keep this guitar? Should I admit defeat and send it back? Or should I keep it and take it to a tech and have it as a project instrument and see how good we can get it playing, performing and sounding? Would love to hear your feedback as ever, and I hope that I've answered all of the questions that you may have had about this guitar. But if there's anything else you'd like to know, drop me a line down there in the comments and I shall do my best to answer you. And if you're still around, would really make my day if you wanted to give the video a like, or maybe even sub to my channel, because that really does help, and there's plenty more Harley Benton on this channel and to come in the future as well. But that's been it for today. I've been Rich, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.